Welcome to another episode of Mergers and Acquisition Blueprint with my host Nick Stehr, ladies and gentlemen. I need like sound effects.
Yeah, hey, welcome to the Mergers and Acquisitions Blueprint. I'm here down under in Australia. Dennis coming to us hot from America, and we've done a bunch of business growth, a bunch of acquisitions. Dennis, especially. More than 75 odd acquisitions, I think. And so it's such a hot topic at the moment. We just want to share and help people. It's a powerful way to grow, right? It's a powerful way to build wealth and a powerful way to build a big business. And we want to share some of the skills and tricks of the trade, if you like.
On our previous episode, we talked about how to different ways of attracting these deals. Once you figure out, hey, here's my buy box. These are the potential targets that I want to approach. What the hell do you do once somebody says yes? Right? You have 100 different calls and emails, and all someone says, yeah, maybe. Like, okay, all right. Well, let's talk about what that next step gonna look like once you engage a prospective seller. I'll start up with this, Nick. I want to highlight that when you're looking to acquire a company, this is the relationship building. You're not buying a pack of cigarettes. This is not a widget. You're not buying a property. You're building a relationship. It doesn't matter what the hell value is at the start of the conversation. You need to build a relationship. That's why it takes time. So from my perspective, always, when somebody says yes, my first step is let's have that conversation. And let's build a relationship. Nick, how have you seen this from your experience?
Look, I've started my working career really as a salesperson, and so I'm probably blessed with some ability to be able to rapidly build rapport and move through that process quickly. Now, if you don't have that doesn't prevent you from being able to do it, but maybe you just move a little more slowly. But I think rapport. We talk about relationships, but really what we're saying is rapport, right? There's got to be a level of trust. When you go into a conversation about buying somebody's business, you're really asking them to bare their soul to you, right? They're going to open the cupboards and go, okay, have a look and tell me what you think. Now, nobody's going to do that until they trust you, until they feel that there's a level of trust and a level of rapport. So I agree completely. Relationships is key. Building rapport is key, and because if you go too hard, too soon, too fast, they're just going to shut down, and it's going to end. It's just never going to go anywhere.
100%. So stop asking for Excel spreadsheets and reports. Build a rapport first. Build a relationship first. Typically, when what I do is I get on either Zoom conference calls. I don't go actually visit people. It's not productive. You can't visit so many people. So my typical conversation goes as follows. I usually start up. It's kind of an awkward, right? You get on the call. You know he's been seeing emails from you or calls from you, and like you haven't actually had conversation. It's kind of that's awkward. You got to break the awkwardness in the conversation. The first thing I do when I jump in, I'm like, hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Well, let me introduce myself. This is what I do. This is who I am. Here's all my cards. Here's all my experience. This is what I've done. Build yourself up and then turn it over and say, would love to learn a little about you and your business. Like, don't be digging into all of the numbers right away. I see it all the time. Like, what was your revenue? What was it? Slow it down. Foreplay a little, Don't take them up to the room first. Like, play a little.
Buy them a drink. Buy them a drink, right?
Buy a drink, man. Jesus Christ, man. I didn't know this show was going to turn into dating advice, but hey,
hey, there's parallels everywhere.
But you can't just rush into things. So that's what I start with. I typically don't ask any high-level questions on these calls. And if I feel things are going well and like you can feel that people are engaged, you can start asking a little bit more deeper. Like what give me an idea of a revenue. That's usually what I ask. Like, hey, I wanted to make this conversation a little bit more concrete to this particular business. Give me an idea. Well, what's your revenue? Is it more than the 10 million, less than 10 million, more than 5 million? Just get a range just so you can start start sniffing it out? What's your process?
Yeah, so hopefully you've set up. There's a reasonable expectation and understanding as to why you're having this first meet, right? You've made the approach, and we spoke about that in terms of finding potential targets and having that initial conversation. So I think there's a level of understanding as to why you're now talking, and it's okay to have some of those, as you say, some of those very high level, broad things. Ballpark. What's your revenue here? Ballpark. There's no commitment. There's no what. But you want to understand, the other thing I look for is to understand what's their motivation. What are they really looking for? Why are they looking to exit? What are they going to do? That's another interesting question. What are you going to do once you're out of here? You've built this amazing business. You've now got a bank full of cash. What are you going to do with that? You're going to travel. You're going to buy a boat. What are you going to do? Get into that kind of thing. And I think getting the rapport building and the momentum in that conversation.
Yeah. And what's funny is for that particular question, when we're listing a company for sale, if I'm talking to a potential seller who we will be representing at some point in time, I'm always asking that question because I want to know, is there going to be a future outside of this company? These people been in that business 25, 30 years. It's hard to let go. It's hard to bring somebody in to operate. And to your point, if they have no idea where they're going to be later on in their retirement, potentially, that's a problem. That's a red flag that ultimately
big time.
You a big time, big time issue. So I'll give one more. So let's maybe go back and forth. I'll give my trick that I like to ask all the time on the conference calls. I always like to ask how many people are employed by the business full time. What I'm trying to estimate, and this is my estimation, a good company usually, depending on which industry you're in, if you're in the service or if you're manufacturing, whatever you're looking at, my good indicator is 250,000 per employee. So I'm gauging, right? So is this $1 million company with 10 employees? I don't know if I like it already, right? I'm starting to understand. So my back of my mind, my assessment, I'm looking at 250,000 per employee, and now I'm assessing how well is this company going to be profitable? Because if this company is a $3 million business a year, for example, he says, hey, we do a little bit over $3 million, and they have 10 employees, and I know 10 employees probably we're at about 2.5 million. I'm like, okay, we got some room here. We got some room. It's not it's not home run, but we got some room. So I move forward.
And you talking revenue or profit? You talking EBITDA or revenue?
So I'm talking revenue, because nobody's going to give you their EBITDA typically on these calls. So when somebody says, hey, I do about $5 million in revenue with 10 employees, I want to talk to him further right away.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at 250,000 per employee, about $2.5 million of labor cost. Again, I'm like very rough estimates. So I'm targeting. Okay, well, there's some room here, and I like it, and I move forward.
I go right back to even books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Make the conversation about them. What is it? You need to learn about them. What makes them tick? Because the reality is, if this ends up in a marriage, you're going to work with this person. It's highly likely you need them and want them to stick around for a year, maybe more, maybe for the whole journey, over the next 3 to 5. So you need to figure out pretty quickly, is this somebody that's values and approach to life is the same as mine that I can actually work with? So, are they married? Do they have kids? Where do they holiday? What do they do? Where do they live? What makes them tick? And if you can understand all of that, you can also then start to tailor your conversation to that as you start to talk about, well, this is why it makes sense. You don't want to fall in love with the deal. I think, if you read Jack Welch's book, Winning, that was one of his things, is you can never fall in love with the deal. And that's easier said than done, right? Because it gets exciting. Oh, gee, I could really make this work. But you fall in love with the deal, you're going to make bad choices and bad decisions. So this first meet is about understanding. We spoke in the previous podcast about a buy box, and I think the buy box also includes who in partnerships do I want to be partnered with? Because these things go on for months, sometimes years, where you're in a relationship with business relationship with these people. You need to get that right.
Yep. I also want to during this call, I also asking really the seller's history, and I'm asking the seller about their work history and when did they start, and what I'm trying to hear for is how much involvement does the owner has in the business, and how much involvement with customers, front-facing customers, does the owner has with the business, because it's hard to remove the owner out of the business is all the customer connections over them. I'm also looking at vendor connections. So I'm like, as the owner's talking, I'm asking really fact-finding questions. Well, that's great. Well, how long have you been working with this customer? How long have you been working with the vendor? I'm trying to really understand the dynamics of it. I'm asking if there's family members in the business. All kinds of questions that could be not technical. So I'm not asking what was your profit last year. That's a little bit too aggressive. But definitely a lot of information is learned. I know right away on that call if this is a good business for receive. I know right away.
But unfortunately for a lot of the listeners, you've got a heap of experience, and that's going to happen quickly. You've got to get to that point, and if you're just starting out, you're probably not going to pick that so easily and so quickly. But there's these little tricks, and I think it's the questions that you're asking that make the difference.
It's repetition. It's repetition.
Yeah.
The more you do it, it's not going to be one call, one business that ultimately is going to click, and then you go into the altar and sign the paperwork. It's not going to work.
No, and if it is, there's a high risk associated with that, right? Because you've either nailed it, and that might happen, but the chances of that happening. I mean, how many deals have you looked at? Do you think on the deals that you've closed, Denis, on average, how many deals did you look at before you actually closed on a deal?
I mean the amount of deals that I'm looking at on a weekly basis is frightening. I mean, this is typical from the private equity standpoint. I know that for private equity, they would look at 10 deals, 10 actual ready to go deals, and make maybe 2 acquisitions at tops. So, and that's talking about filtering down to the people actually making the decision.
Yeah.
That top funnel there. When we start doing the search and finding an opportunity, we start with 300, 400 prospects to get to good 8, 10. I mean, that's the type of volume like we're talking about. It's not calling one business owner and says if they're ready or not. So
if you've found if you found one deal and you go, this is it, and you're looking to close that one deal, there's I think, be careful, right? Maybe, but highly unlikely that you look at one deal and it's the perfect deal.
Right, and there's really no such a thing as perfect deal. They all have a little bit of an angle to it. That's why I like it. But who knows? Maybe that first deal, maybe there's somebody out there with the first deal. I haven't seen that, but we'll see. So let's talk about this next step, right? We have a conference call, we have a Zoom call, we have a phone call. Now the seller like, okay, I like you. What's the next step? My next step is always I bring it up. I don't ask the seller to bring it up. I bring it up. I'm gonna email you a confidentiality agreement, an NDA that I've signed. It's for your record. I ain't gonna take this anywhere, but I really just like to get some more information so that I could formulate a little bit better of what my offer potentially could look like. So my next step is I'm emailing out an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, confidentiality agreement, whatever you call it. I've signed it. I give it to the seller, and then I give them a list. Just looking for 1 year of financials and a year to date. All I'm looking for is just some little bit of data, like I'm just trying to get a little bit of info, just tiny bit.
First base.
Just a little bit, right? You just get me in there, and that's it. I'm there, right? So that's my strategy. That's what works. Get the NDA out, get the financial statement, and then follow up with urgency. What are your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, look, I'd probably go back one step in my process, and once I've got the rapport there, as I said, if you've set this first meet up, so after the approach, right, you've set up a meet. There's no secret as to why you're meeting. That doesn't mean that you've got immediate rapport, but you know what the end game is here, and that is to court each other to figure out, okay, is this something where we want to get married or not? So I'm quite okay with asking some very broad questions like, look, ballpark figure, what are you doing at the moment in terms of revenue? What are you doing in terms of profit, even if it's just as a basic percentage? Ballpark, don't give me exacts, that's fine. But I also want to understand, what's their reason for being interested to sell? I want to understand that. And I want to understand, what do they love about the business and what do they find really challenging about the business? And I think if you already have been in business or have your own business, exchanging some war stories on that, because the pain is what will come out. They'll start telling you stuff about the business that you're going to want to know anyway, you're going to be looking for. So what do you love about the business and what do you find challenging about the business? Where do you see your market going? Where do you see the industry going? Those kinds of questions you can do before you even need to have an NDA, because I'm not asking them to open the cupboard yet. Then my next step would be, listen, I think it's a natural next step for us. If things are going well, for us to have a look at, as you say, just just give us a little bit of information. Happy to sign an NDA. I'll send that through to you, and then if you can just maybe give me these couple of things so that I can have a deeper look at that stuff. And a lot of people then say, yeah, but how do you trust what they're telling you? Well, that's the game. At this point, it doesn't matter, right? You take what they tell you at face value, because that'll come out later.
It all comes out if you do it the right way, but you can't do your due diligence before you make an offer. You're going to exhaust the seller, and rightly so. So you have to make an offer based on the information that you have. Right? And then you'll have the chance and the diligence to prove out, to make sure that what you've seen is actually true and correct. One point I want to make on the conversation, I find that a lot, because I coach a lot of clients, and I find a lot of the time, if you don't know the industry, like for you, like you know the industry in and out. Everybody knows you in this industry. You already have a status when you're talking to these people. When you're starting from scratch and you actually don't know the industry, do some research.
Yeah.
There's a ton of information you can find. You can go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, give me 10, 15 different things I should ask a business owner in X industry. Do some research, because every industry is different, and what you should be asking also different. Like if you're in HVAC, you want to be asking, is there service? What's the percentage of service versus construction? If you're in healthcare, if you're in healthcare wholesale, you want to be asking, what's the rollover of inventory? There's a lot of things you need to know, and then you can find that all out. Nowadays, you can find it all online.
Yeah, 100%. And ChatGPT, or some of these different AI engines are unbelievable in terms of what they can even find. Potential targets for you. I've even done that. I've tested that, and I go, hey, I'm looking for this kind of business in this area, and it's unbelievable. So certainly be using AI for this as much as possible.
Yeah. So that next step, you have the conversation, you get the NDA out, you have the financials, you look at the profit and loss statement, you look at the balance sheet. I always ask for P&L for 1 year of P&L, 1 year of balance sheet, year-to-date P&L, and year-to-date balance sheet. This is really all elementary things that you need, at least just to see it. Once you get a little bit further in, you ask for at least 3 to 4 years. You have to see the year-over-year how the business is doing, especially if you're buying a wholesale business or a construction business. That pattern of revenues and profitability over time is really important in the assessment of value. But at that point, you get that 1 year of P&Ls. You can schedule a call to figure out what is the EBITDA of this company, at least based on the last year, and you'll go through that process to calculate that EBITDA, and that's kind of the first steps of doing those intro seller meetings.
Yeah, and 100%, and hopefully you've been able to unearth what they think their business is worth. And it surprises me how many people, when I have these initial conversations, go, what do you think? What do you think the business is worth today? That they generally don't know. At these sides of businesses we're talking about, they're like, oh, I don't know, I haven't really thought about it. So again, you've got to kind of get some common ground on that, because they will go and talk to their accountant, or they'll talk to a business valuer and get a price. And so, we're not talking about, and let's be clear here, buying and selling businesses is not about trying to fleece the seller and get it for as little as possible. Of course, yes, you don't want to overpay, but at the same time, we're talking about finding good businesses, profitable businesses, paying market value for those businesses. Because what's your end game? That is the strategy, right? Is I'm looking to buy and build.
That's right. The valuation literally doubles at certain levels of profitability. When we're looking at buy and build, we're looking at our first target. We want to get to $4 million of EBITDA. Once we at the $4 million of EBITDA, or if we at $4 million of EBITDA, we need to try to get to $10 million of EBITDA. That's really the whole level of game that we play. After $10 million of EBITDA, that's a long run to $40-50 million EBITDA. That takes a lot more capital and a lot more work to get there. There's a lot more arbitrage where we stand, and this is where the money is being made. Anything else, Nick? We're gonna
I think they're all the things that we're going to get into as we sort of start to unwind this thing in terms of our talk track and our future episodes. But it all starts here, right? If you can't build the rapport early and build that relationship, then it's not going to go well. It starts on a bad footing, and that again, it's amazing the parallels we joked about it before. You can sort of draw from building a relationship with significant other that if it doesn't start well, it ain't going to end well. So work hard on building that rapport, getting that relationship, and making sure that you're aligned, and understanding that if this is somebody I can work with, great, keep going, keep having the conversation. If not, move on.
On the next episode, we'll talk about the next step, which is getting to the LOI and the diligence. I think that's where the magic happens in those stages. This is where you're able to create leverage by doing the LOI properly. This is where you can get hurt if you don't know how to properly structure your LOI. This is where you can figure out if the company is good, or this is a place where you can really get hurt if you can't figure out what's good. So those are going to be the next episode, which I'm looking forward to doing. Nick, I'm enjoying. Hope people are enjoying listening in, and like, subscribe, share. Goddamn it, share it, and tag us. We'll be very thankful for spreading the word, and it helps everyone. So
100%.
Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.